Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Hypnovision Studios. Today, I thought I would go back into creative writing and share a few stories with you and also talk about the creative process as I go along. This is a little bit different, and we are in the month of December. So, guys, when I started this YouTube channel, I had no clue what I was doing. Um, Obviously, it's a learning curve to say the least, but one of the biggest things I have learned over this process is the presentation of how I'm coming across. As a DJ myself, I do a lot of prep work before I go to shows, especially when it comes to music files and how things flow together and stuff like that. So there's a natural transition aspect for me into doing content creation and doing a lot of editing work. But one of the biggest things is like the presentation of being authentic versus being too stiff and rigid and trying to present something in a certain way that it comes off as nervous or not as authentic. So that has definitely been a big learning curve. And also when, going through the process of belief systems, this whole journey of journaling and writing about my life and then taking that and turning it into stories has been a life changer for me. And so I'd like to share some of these stories with you in my own voice and maybe help break down how I came about creating some of these stories is very deeply reflective of my own life experience at the same time. And with that, guys, let's get started with the first story. He danced with her, the face he could never quite make out in his dreams. She was an enigma, a mist of memories wrapped in the guise of an imaginary friend. From a young age, she would appear, laughter echoing through the city streets as they spun around light poles and waltzed through the night. The world would fade away, and it was just them, moving in time with a rhythm only they could understand. As he grew, his reflections grew with him, brutally honest, cutting at times. His words were double edged swords, a mix of raw truth and relentless pursuit of understanding. He faced his own fears as he tried to grasp hers, peeling back the layers in a desperate attempt to see her face, to know who or what she truly was. But she remained a mystery. Each time he reached for her, she would slip away just out of view, leaving behind a trace of laughter, a whisper of secrets he wasn't ready to uncover. And so they danced around the light pole, through the dreams and across years. She was his friend, his fear, his hope, and his mystery. And though he may never know where she was coming from, he felt a strange peace, knowing she was always there, waiting for the next dance. So, guys, this story has a personal meaning because, um, we all have throughout life dreams that sometimes can be reoccurring. And for this one, when I started doing a lot of childhood reflecting in my journaling, this was something that I kept circling back around to. It was such a mystery to me. So I decided to just acknowledge that the feelings and the emotions and the memories were there and just be curious about it, so to speak, and just let it kind of flow through my writing and um, kind of transform it into a story. So, it's also based in that childhood imagery that we have that when we still have our innocence. So that's kind of like the root of that story itself. So the next story is never drop an anchor where a mistake is made. There was a time in my life when I held onto mistakes, anchoring myself to moments that were long gone. I would replay them over and over, convincing myself that if I had thought about them enough, I would find the solution or redemption I was seeking. But in reality, all it did was keep me stuck. I became heavy, weighted down by regret, unable to move forward in the flow of life. The feeling was sour, and instead of helping me grow, it drained me. I began to realize that just because we make mistakes does not mean we need to stay there, anchored to them. Mistakes are part of the journey, not the destination. They offer lessons, not life sentences. Dropping anchor where we erred only slows us down, keeping us from discovering new waters, new horizons. It's okay to feel the sting of a mistake. In fact, it's important because staying in the same place, hoping it will change, doesn't serve us. The biggest blessings come from when we learn to let go. Life flows like a river, constantly moving, constantly changing. We cannot move if we are anchored to the past. Letting go is the ultimate act of self forgiveness and growth. The greatest transformation comes from when we lift that anchor, leaving the heaviness behind, and trust that life will carry us where we need to be. So when you find yourself anchored to a mistake, remember you are not that moment and you are not defined by it. You have the power to sell again, to continue the journey. So, guys, this one has an interesting um, thing behind it because while it is in the theme of not dropping an anchor on your past mistakes, there's also the concept in theory with self hypnosis or even going to a professional practitioner of a hypnotic anchor, which would be these memory points that seem to trigger us into thinking about the past or um, how things tie in when a certain memory is jarred, that kind of thing. So it is like a waypoint, so to speak, in a mind map, if you want to really think about it that way. So I kind of took that concept and just made it about an anchor being on a river or an ocean, and just kind of made a story go from there. So there's a lot of thinking that goes behind these things, but okay, guys. So the next story is called "Katie Was Getting to Know Him Through His Words," and the concept behind this is sometimes when you're starting to learn how to write and develop characters, a lot of times these characters are actually different aspects of yourself. And that was a very, very interesting and very self realizing thing when I started to journal and I started to take my writing and kind of pour it into other characters. It also helped me to understand that inner dialogue that we have inside of our head, that sometimes our actions, our outer voice does not always align with our inner voice. And for me, doing a lot of the journaling helped me to understand and realize this. And so it also helped to develop other characters, but it also helped me to understand different viewpoints. While I may not always be able to put myself completely in somebody else's shoes, I can certainly be empathetic about a situation that they are going through without taking on or absorbing or becoming that also. So that was a very interesting moment of realization through the writing that I learned. And I thought it would be cool to share that with you. So the story is Katie was getting to know him through his words. And a lot of times I would just use random names. And that was a lesson through content creation that I also learned was I had a deep seated fear that I would use somebody's name and they would think that I'm talking about them by association. But a lot of these videos that are going on YouTube are public. So that was a self thing I had to kind of struggle with. But anyway, let's get on with the story. Katie sat on her bed, the stark whiteness of the room around her contrasting with the warm brown of her favorite sweater. She cradled a steaming cup of coffee in one hand, the comforting aroma mixing with the crisp pages of the book resting on her lap. This book, like the several others by the same author, now gracing her nightstand, had quickly become her favorite. The man who put these words in order was a mystery, a deep, multi layered enigma. On the surface, he was unassuming, someone who could pass on the street without a second glance. But through his writing, Katie had come to understand the profound depths of his soul. He seemed to hold lifetimes of wisdom within his words, a reservoir of knowledge and insight that fascinated her. He wrote everything from affirmations for others to stories woven through space and time, even love stories that stirred emotions she hadn't known were there. His poems, simple yet profound, spoke to her as if they were messages from the divine. This man, gifted beyond his time, poured out his heart and soul into paper, giving his heart away through his writing. From a young child, he had often felt a void, a lack of love and companionship he craved. He was forced to grow up too quickly, his childhood a fleeting moment stolen by circumstances beyond his control. This loss, however, ignited a fire within him, a burning need to create, to write, to express what he felt he had missed inside. Katie admired his courage and strength, qualities he himself might not have seen. He was always trying to give the love he felt he had missed, filling the void in his own heart by offering his wisdom and compassion to others. In his words, she found a reflection of his journey, his struggles, and his triumphs. She had never met him, and yet she felt a deep love for him, a connection that transcended physical presence. It was his courage and strength that inspired her, showing her that love isn't always a person, but can be found in the written words and actions that touch lives when no one else is looking. This realization brought a smile to her lips as she sipped on her coffee. In that moment, she understood the essence of an earth angel. Often unnoticed and unrecognized, they serve a higher cause, bringing light into the lives of others without seeking acknowledgement. His writings had served as a beacon for her, guiding her through the moments of doubt and uncertainty. Katie turned the page, her heart swelling with gratitude for this man she had never met. Through his words, he had given her a precious gift, a glimpse into his soul, and a deeper understanding of hers. As she closed the book, she whispered a silent thank you to the author, to the earth angel who had unknowingly become a guiding light in her life. She knew she would continue to seek out his words, finding solace and inspiration in the love he so freely gave away. So, guys, this one was really interesting because it does have a lot of reflection in my own experience. But, a lot of that stuff was, the process of what you would call healing would also be to acknowledge that something is there. So, in some ways, it could be like releasing past life regression or different things that were kind of suppressed within you. And, writing seems to be a very therapeutic way to deal with your own inner conflicts and own different trials and errors in life. So it has been a very life changing thing for me. And with that, I'll do one more. I have a ton of these and I'm just not sure where to put them. I enjoy making them, but it can be time consuming. So right now, it's just something that I enjoy to do, but eventually, I would like to be able to get these in front of eyes that, somebody could appreciate some of this work. So she learned what true love was because he became the words that nurtured her soul. In the quiet of her room, Ashley lay on her bed, feeling the gentle embrace of her favorite navy blue knee high socks. Her feet were propped up on the wall, a comforting habit that she had made to feel relaxed and cozy. With her book by her side, she reflected on the words of an anonymous author who had changed her life. This author had discovered that true love was never about seeking validation from others. Instead, it was about embracing the love of oneself first. This self love was the foundation that allowed him to truly love others. His journey to this understanding was not typical. He wasn't a natural reader, often struggling to find meaning in written word. But one day he had discovered the power of his own life experiences. They were the living word, the riches and lessons and insights from within. He decided to write, to pour his soul onto the pages, hoping to reach anyone seeking hope and guidance. His words became a beacon for the lost and their struggles, a testament to the strength found in self acceptance and self love. As Ashley lay there, she realized that this journey mirrored her own. She learned that the greatest love story she could ever experience began with loving herself. And so, guys, I'm very grateful to be able to have the talent to make a lot of this stuff work. But, for me, a lot of this stuff is first time. I've never done this before. So the presentation definitely has a lot to do with it. And, really for me, getting over that fear of being on the microphone, it is also, I could equate it to the same feeling of being called on in class to read in front of everybody and you're not prepared. So, that pre-stage jitter of, overthinking, trying to read in a little ahead of yourself. So, for me, it was slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. So, putting headphones on while I was reading is something that was very insightful. Um, I actually, in the very early days, I would talk to myself. One of the things is my name is Nicholas, but everybody knows me as Nick. But, there was an aspect of me, it was like, well, what part of, um, Nicholas is like different from Nick? Because I think we all go through stages in life where we want to be someone else. And, you know, it's like a stigmatism that we put on ourselves sometimes that we don't even realize. But there was an aspect of getting to know that part of myself again, to find myself again, and kind of integrate it with who I am now and practice being more present in life. So, with that, guys, I thank you for sticking around, and I hope that you find some inspiration from my channel. I have a bunch of different content. So, guys, I'll see you down the road, and I hope you enjoy.